unit. You are authorized to fire at will.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, MBRR podcast, IMTC. This is my show. This is my platform. And I'm not going to take real long, guys, because I want to get to the story at hand. And the young man I'm going to be speaking with is a busy guy. He's like me. I think he works Monday through Friday, and he works long hours. And then he tries to squeeze everything in on his weekends. And so we're going to get it out of the way, folks. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my Subscribe Star, please. It helps me keep doing things like investing in more equipment and better sound, because when you're doing this, you need better sound. When you're trying to pretend to be a professional, you want people to think that you have professional equipment. None of this stuff actually works. It's all fake. I made it out of styrofoam, so that's not true. Special thanks to Tomsky for the mic. He's from Great Britain. And a special thanks to Larry, who sent the camera, and special thanks to Cheryl, who made the hat, and on and on and on. But yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed yet to the Subscribe Star, you need to head over there and do that. Minnesota Black Robe Regiment podcast on Subscribe Star. I've got merchandise. The book's not for sale. None of these. Well, you'd have to buy them from the authors. Got merchandise, especially for those of you in colder climes. I got all that. I got the coffee still. I don't know. Coffee's dropped off. People are starting to disappoint me. What's wrong with you guys? You should be drinking coffee. My coffee, especially. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna get going because Chase and I are gonna tell our mutual story together. Chase, thank you for doing this, and I'm just gonna get it out of the way. We aren't strangers.
Correct.
We have a history. We knew each other from both of our prior lives. I was a deputy in the detention center, and you may or may not have had some contact with me in there at one point.
Yep, I did. And, you were definitely an officer to be respected in there for sure.
Oh, well, thank you. I did not pay him to say that, folks. So, but that's actually how we reconnected. Was you heard something about my story, I think, before I got permanently yeeted off of Facebook. You had reached out because somebody had shared my story, and we started messaging back and forth, and kind of went through the process of how, where we connected, how we connected, a little bit about our conversations, and then you launched a predator hunting program in Southeast Minnesota.
Yeah, I did. That was definitely an interesting endeavor for sure.
What was, because you had a different channel for that. You have a new channel now. I think you call that the Hard Road.
The Hard Road TV. Yeah, that's my new YouTube channel. I'm going to be venturing into true crime, redemption stories, stuff like that. I have some pretty good content coming up very soon.
And that, when you're ready to roll that first one out, you let me know. We'll have you back on to promote that more. But your first channel, I thought it wasn't like parolees versus predators, or?
Yeah, it started off as prisoners versus predators.
There it is. Prisoners versus predators. Yep.
Yeah. And we did probably 4 or 5, 6 busts with that name. And then another friend of mine from the Mankato area, he had reached out to me, and he started doing it too. And he had called his Midwest Predator Catchers. And I kind of decided we could work together a little bit. So I had mine as Midwest Predator Catchers Rochester after that. So.
Oh, I forgot. You have a newborn, basically.
Yes, she's in the background screaming.
No, that's awesome. People are going to prefer hearing her much more than us, because our story is not, I won't say it's not an interesting story, but it's definitely it's not a pleasant story. So,
right.
So you guys started doing predator bust, and let's be upfront and honest. Uh, there's a small section of society that pretty much everybody looks down on, and those are people who predate children, who prey on children, and especially in people. There's a special place in hell and prison for people like that, and you can you can see the distaste for child predators when you're in confinement, whether you're in on a DUI or you're in on petty theft charges or whatever. Both the staff and the people who are being supervised develop a very, should we say, jaded edge towards these individuals, and that's a little bit of where you came from, because you actually ended up having to do some time, I believe, with some people like that. And I know that the stories that you heard about them really, really got under your skin, because you did share some of that, and it really disgusted you. Is that what made you decide you wanted to start going out and hunting predators?
Yeah, that was one of the reasons. You actually, Todd, were the working the night before they sent me up to prison, and you, I don't know if you remember or not, but you opened the door for me and took me up to booking, and did a little prayer for me, and that was that for the next year or so. But yeah, I did run into a lot of these individuals. One in particular, actually, he was working in the kitchen with me, and um, he, for whatever, usually I would never sit by an individual like that, but for whatever reason, for like a very small amount of time, he was sitting kitty corner across the table from me, and I kind of picked his brain a little bit and calmly sat down as he explained his story and had told me what he had did to a 17-year-old girl. And, just it is sickening, and you know the amount of time that they get to is ridiculous in Minnesota, and it's usually probation for first time offenders.
Yeah. And we had some interesting conversations, because I was watching all your content, and I remember just very distinctly telling you, you're doing great work. Got to get the temper under control.
Yeah,
Which is
it's
not easy.
your emotions get
Oh,
involved,
yeah.
and especially when they start trying to talk smack to you, or it's really hard to keep your composure. But there was definitely some videos I did that were more professional, though, for sure.
Well, it's like anything. You always have room to improve. If you think you've got it nailed from day one, or from video one, or interview one, then you probably should just quit, because you're not gonna put any effort into getting better. And it's the same when you're interacting with these folks. And it's telling that you did, I mean, between prisoners versus predators, and then Midwest predator hunter, Rochester, right? Is that what it
Yep.
was? You did how many busts?
So, well, he also did about 10 or maybe more himself. So between the two of us, it's well over 20, but probably 30 almost. And I did about 14 or 15 myself. And
And
with him,
all of your stuff centers around the Rochester, Minnesota area.
yeah, we did one in St. Peter was as far as we had went.
And so I just want people to hear that. Let's say 13 out of the 30. 13 out of the 30 were yours, and those 13, not counting the one in St. Peter, those 13 all took place in the area surrounding the third largest metro area in the state, and that's Rochester and Olmsted County. 13. So let's say you're only catching 10% of the
Right.
people that are online that are doing this. That leaves 100. That let's not leaves. That's approximately 130 people on preying on underage girls online, and
young men as well.
and young men. Yeah. We then had occasion to Oh, I want to say it was probably May 29th or 30th when you first reached out to me and sent me a picture of the individual that we're discussing tonight, and that's Corporal from the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office, Matt Adamson. And you sent me the picture and said, "Man, who is this? I swear I know him." And of course, I'm paraphrasing our conversation, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's Matt Adamson."
Yeah. And I didn't want to believe it either.
And I asked you why. I distinctly remember saying why, and I had that sinking feeling in my gut that I knew why, but I didn't want to know why, but I knew. And your response was, so then here I would love for you to walk the audience through that conversation that we had by walking us through the conversation that you had with Matt that resulted in you having his picture, because you were posing on an app as, I wasn't a 13 or 14-year-old.
It was both. I had so the app is an anonymous thing, and he had made like 2 different posts, and I responded to both of them. And at one point he had said, "Oh, this, you must be the same girl I'm talking to in the other thread." And I had told him I was 13 in one of the profiles and 14 in the other. And his MO was exactly the same then. It was trying to buy minors alcohol.
And he wasn't just, I mean, we could talk about the drinking age. Parents want to give their kids alcohol, I don't really care. But we could talk about legal drinking age, but you're talking about a person who is, or is responsible for overseeing people who are being charged with crimes, from misdemeanors to gross misdemeanors to felony level crimes. And he's online offering to buy minor girls in particular, alcohol. And he wasn't just doing that because their parents were uptight fuddy-duddies who wouldn't let them drink. There was
Right.
a catch there. He wanted something in exchange, and
Yeah.
that was,
He had said like make out, oral, stuff like that, and he wanted to do that in exchange for the services of him buying alcohol.
and your conversations, those 2 different conversations, he sent you his picture.
He did.
Was there a point where at first you're like, nah, there's no way this is him? Like, it's probably somebody just got this picture.
Of course, there was, but like, my thought was, when I knew him from back in the day in jail, right? He seemed like such a good guy. So of course I was like, oh, maybe he pissed somebody off and they're whatever. But it's like, why would anybody do that? So, I mean, just like when we had started talking to that doctor, you know what I'm saying? It's just like yeah.
Because that doctor you guys met at Flapdoodle on Broadway.
Yeah.
But yeah, your initial reaction, especially when it's somebody that you know or somebody that's in a profession like that, you want to go, okay, somebody's setting them up. This is some sort of setup. How many days did this go on? Was it a night or 2?
I think it was like a day tops.
Like a day. Okay. And just so everybody's aware, was there any in this, when I say enticement, I don't mean on your part, but between those 2 conversations, the 13-year-old and the 14-year-old, at some point, did anybody else ever take over one of those conversations for you? Were you doing it all?
I was doing it the whole time. And
Was there ever any pictures from you sent of somebody who looked young enough?
Yeah, I sent pictures of the decoy, and
but just so everybody knows, the decoy at this time, was it a girlfriend, a friend?
I was using my girlfriend's pictures, but I had other people that were helping out as well. But my girlfriend, she was helping to do these with us. And that day I was supposed to meet Adamson, she was working. And so that was why. So we had met at Target, and he was parked right out in front of the Target store north. And he didn't want to go inside to meet, and he wanted her to come outside. And I still feel like if we had, Julia there that day, that we could have exposed her. And to, looking back on it, I should have just jumped right out of the car and walked right up to his window. But I do have video of his truck circling the parking lot.
And just so everybody's aware, Chase is going to be working on getting that to me, and we will be putting that up if that's all right with Chase. Chase, that's fine. You drink as much as you want. I know it's all for energy.
Yeah.
But we are working on getting his video and photo documentation so that we can show people that he brings the receipts on this.
Well, and it's not even like that hard to figure it out. I mean, if you look at the timestamps from when he was at work or whatever, you'll see that he wasn't. And
you clicked out for just a second.
Sorry about that. When he reported this to the police, or when I reported this to the police, they didn't even follow up. They could have checked the Target security cameras. This is a serious matter.
Well, hold on before you go there. When we started talking, I said, "Hold on, let me do some checking." You remember that?
That's right.
And so I messaged a friend who still works at the sheriff's office, and I didn't go, "Hey, I know somebody that busted Matt Adamson trying to pick up a underage girl to have sex with her in exchange for alcohol." I just said, "Hey, I saw Adamson," and I could look my tweet or the text up. "Hey, I swear I saw Adamson the other day. Did he get a new truck? What's he drive now? Does he drive a white truck? Because he didn't even wave." And he was like, "Yeah, he does drive a white truck." Now, that in and of itself, correlation is not always causation. Could be a coincidence, because it's not like Rochester's devoid of white trucks and there's only one white truck.
Right.
But it was immediately following your attempt to meet with him.
Yeah.
And that confirmed it for me, because you had his picture. He told you where he worked. And
he never said he worked for the sheriff's office.
Okay, no. That comes later. Yeah, okay. That comes later. He didn't tell you that, but he sent his picture. You knew what he was going to be driving. He described it. He showed up at the prescribed meeting place at the prescribed time at the Target on the north side of town, which has a liquor store. Actually, it's kind of a fancier upscale compared to what you would expect. I don't know why that's important, because every once in a while I like upscale liquor, I guess. I don't know. But he took off. He got cold feet before you even really had the opportunity to confront him. But you have video of all of that. And once I confirmed that I was pretty positive it was Adamson, my advice to you was, be careful, but take this to the police. You need to report him to both the police department and to the sheriff's office. And you did. And you have the proof of that as well.
I have it, and I just went to fix that phone, and now they want the battery fixed too, so it's going to cost me a couple $100 to fix a $50. But I think it's worth it to do it, to get the rest of the text messages that I have. And
hold your thought for just a minute, Chase. Folks, this is why you got people like me who have things like Subscribe Star, and we work to get monetized. If anybody's interested, I'm not going to put any pressure on anyone, but one, please like, share, and subscribe for me right now, because I'm going to also be linking you to Chase's channel in the description of this video when this is done. Like, comment, subscribe. Then check the description of the video after this processes. Go over to Chase's channel, subscribe there, and then leave him a message to go and ask him how you can help him get that phone so that we can make sure we recover all of that information 100%. Now, you did report this, and their response to you was what?
Kind of null, like, just you know, I explained to him, I asked right away the cop, I'm like, do you recognize him? You know, cops bring people to jail, obviously. I thought maybe he did. He said he didn't recognize him. And
Bull,
didn't
bull,
act like it was
bull.
a big deal as it is. And this is a very serious matter. Somebody's coming to you and reporting that an officer of the law is trying to take advantage of a child, and you just, you know, kind of dismiss it because of my background. And yes, obviously my videos were a little bit crazy sometimes, and I smacked one of them before and got a charge out of that, you know. But for the most part, you know, I was just degrading these people and shaming them. So because I was doing that, they want to act like I'm not a credible witness, and they basically just dismissed it. So,
You know, the thing that bothers me is they did approach you in a very dismissive way. I remember you telling me like they didn't take it very seriously. And I know that you were a little dejected because you felt like not only that, but you do have a criminal history and
yeah,
you've never hidden that, you know, and you've gone to prison. You've never hidden that. You are working at getting your life together. I think at some point you even mentioned something about going to church or something. I don't remember, but um, I we should all go more often if we don't go at all. But we did talk about that, and I remember telling you, it's like people change, Chase. People change, and sometimes the people who can have the most profound impact on a situation, especially like what you were doing, are the people who've gone down that road of having been in the criminal justice system. And just because someone's been convicted of a crime, just because someone has done prison time, doesn't mean that they can't, and that's the focus of your new channel, the Hard Road TV, is going to be about. Some of that is those redemption stories of people who have gone out and made a difference with their lives in different ways and stepped away from that lifestyle. And the thing that floors me is that not only did they not really seem to take you seriously on something that's serious, you had the receipts. You showed them.
right. A video.
You showed them the video, but they just were very dismissive towards you. And I think we both kind of walked away going, yeah, because they think you're just nothing but a thug criminal, and why take you seriously?
Right.
And then they labeled you a vigilante.
Right.
So things after that, did they ever get back to you? Like, because you talked to Rochester Police Department and to the sheriff's office, correct?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about a separate contact with the sheriff's office. I know that I had called the police department a couple times and asked if there was, you know, but kind of got the runaround, and you know, they're hard to deal with over there. They want to transfer you to somebody else, or you got to call a different number. So, and so fast forward, actually about a month from that, I ended up in jail for a night, got out the next day, but in June of last year. And
So this is shortly after your your contact with Adamson.
yeah, and I was in there overnight, and I kind of made a fuss about it. I was kind of, you know, going off. I was upset that I was in jail in the first place, and you know,
Because this was related to one of your hunts.
no, this was
Oh.
a separate incident,
Oh,
but
okay.
just like a one nighter deal. But I made a fuss about it, and I was calling Matt Adamson out by his name in there, saying that I reported him and this and that, and I, you know, to the point where I ended up getting locked into a cell and booking. Not like a huge scuffle or anything like that, just a verbal exchange. And I believe it was Sergeant Smile had came into my cell and told me that thing that you're talking about is being looked at and has been looked at, and that's all that I've ever.
So, yeah, it wouldn't have been Smiley because Smiley was gone before I was gone.
Well, it was
Uh,
I always mix up their names in there, but I would recognize them if I seen them. You know.
Shy, maybe?
No,
Big guy? Definitely not Shy. No, nobody forgets Shy.
yeah,
But so let me get this straight. Now, this is a part that's news to me. Like breaking news here, folks. Chase admits he had a situation. He gets arrested. Adamson's there when you're getting booked in.
He was not there. But
Okay, but you were saying, hey, here's the situation. I've got not dirt, but I've got evidence of malfeasance, criminal behavior on the part of one of your deputies. Why am I, not like, hey, let me out of here and I won't go anywhere with it.
right. Yeah, that's never been my intentions by talking about this. The truth matters, and that's all there is to it. And justice needs to prevail, especially when it comes to children.
Right. So the sergeant, in an attempt to de-escalate or whatever, says, hey, just come in here, calm down, just so you know, that's being looked at. So that right there is verbal confirmation from a shift supervisor, whoever it is, whichever one it might be, from a shift supervisor, that they're aware of the accusation and that it's being looked at.
Yeah.
And so just calm down.
Right.
Does anybody ever get a hold of you then after those initial complaints were filed?
Never once.
Not once.
Not once.
So then, just so people are aware, I think it was Monday of this week, a friend of mine sends me text message with a link to a story about a local Olmsted County Sheriff's deputy being arrested for attempted solicitation of a minor and several other felony charges. And I looked, saw who it was, and I went, holy crap. Not that I didn't believe the initial encounter, but I'm thinking to myself, how does this happen? If there was actually an investigation that took place, if RPD, the Rochester Police Department, under Chief Franklin, had done their job, if this was actually being looked at by the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office, and you were told by a member of command staff, basically a supervisor, a sergeant, that they were aware and it was being looked at, a few days after your initial contact with Adamson, you were told this, and here we sit, November 2nd. That would have been Thursday night, right? Yep.
So
Thursday night, November 2nd, Matt Adamson leaves the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office work release facility, is followed to a local shopping center. Do we know which one?
I haven't heard which one, though.
Okay. To a local shopping center, gets out, calls out the name of the decoy, and boom, it happens to be the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and the Rochester Police Department working on a sting together. Now, we don't know that it was targeted for Adamson. We just know that it was a sting. They're working to bust people who are trying to solicit children. And that's as much as I know. I don't know if you've heard anything else.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything else either yet. I heard something about that maybe RPD can't even handle this investigation at all. They have to work with potentially even the FBI on this.
So
he should be federally charged.
So there's a rumor, and we can't say yes or no. It's just something you've heard, so it's conjecture that this may be going beyond just the Rochester area.
Potentially, not that federal charges necessarily will be filed, but when an officer like that is being investigated, sometimes they bring in other agencies to help deal with that.
My initial response was to have my friend reach out to you so that we could reconnect, because obviously, like I said, when I got permanently yeeted off of Facebook with my old account, I lost contact with a bunch of people. And I told him to look you up so we could reconnect. But once we started texting, my first of all, my initial response to you was, one, I'm proud of you for having, taken a risk and reported it. Two, we need to talk about this because everything in the report that's been released to the media thus far is identical to your experience with Adamson as well.
How crazy is that?
Gut reaction on your part when you think about, had they taken the report seriously and actually conducted a full-fledged investigation, would he have done this again?
I mean, at the very least, he would have not been working for the sheriff's office anymore. But I believe that he's done it before me and definitely after. I mean, this has been well over a year, you know?
Almost a year and a half.
Yeah. So how many people are out there? How many minor teenagers are out there that have fallen victim to this man? You know?
And I'll say it right now. If you or somebody if you're watching this in the Minnesota area, Southeast Minnesota or anywhere else, if you're watching this and you've seen this guy's picture, and I'm going to say this too, this is going to sound, so weird for as serious as this is. And Chase, you know this. Gut reaction is to go, guilty, hang him high.
Right.
He deserves his day in court. I don't know what his defense can be, but he deserves his day in court because every accused in the United States should be considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law by a jury of their peers. We also know from both of us having been on the inside of the criminal justice system, very rarely do you ever get a jury of your peers, and almost always you're considered guilty until you prove otherwise, especially in Minnesota.
Correct.
And you've been down that path yourself. But
yeah.
If he's for some reason found not guilty, then he's not guilty. But I just don't see how anybody can, I'm not the courts. I'm not the state. I'm not obligated to look at it that way. He deserves his day in court. He deserves a trial. However this is adjudicated, he deserves that. But based on the evidence that you presented to investigators at the time, and based on what they've released so far on this, there's a pattern here, and that tells me there's victims out there. And I want to help those victims come together to seek justice. Because as you said at the beginning of this, when it comes to some of these sex crime situations, very rarely do they even get anything beyond probation on their first charge.
Yeah, I mean, this probably won't go to trial. He'll probably take a plea deal for like 90 days in jail or something like that. Or house.
With a stayed sentence as
Correct.
far as going to jail. He'll have that 90 days hanging over his head. They're not going to want to put him in jail or in prison.
Right.
Because of his career. He will not he won't do well.
Not at all. They'll have to separate, sure.
Do you look at this and because I want to start to turn this towards on your experience here as of late, because I think there's something going on that to me just screams retaliation. Do you look at this and look at the evidence that you and I talked about last year in May, and then look at the evidence that's out there now? And you have talked to a local Post Bulletin reporter about this, and they found your evidence credible enough to run with it. And do you look at this and think that there's any way in the world that he walks away from this without a conviction?
Absolutely not.
Is that hard for you when you think about it? I mean, obviously we want justice, but having been on the inside, is it difficult for you now to look at that and go, he deserves his day in court. I hope it's fair, but at the same time, I really hope that he gets convicted. Is that?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, like I said, I think these type of individuals need 10, 20 years in prison, first time offenders, even, especially if you're got pictures you shouldn't be having on your computer, all that. They act like that's not a, they act like it's a victimless crime, and it's not. None of it is, you know. But what bothers me the most is, like I said, that he'll probably barely sit in jail, if at all. Like reoffends or something like that on probation, then he's going to get his 12 years in prison or more.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so much to say too about, how this impacts families. I mean, because there's not just, if there are other victims out there, it's not just them that have been victimized. Their families have been victimized. His family has been victimized by this. And I think it's really easy. Go ahead.
His poor wife and kids too. Can you imagine getting that call from the jail? Or, I mean, that's just blows my mind that somebody would do that to their family.
Because now he's, barring some sort of weird, like, evidentiary foul up on the part of the BCA and the Rochester Police Department, he's not going to be able to have contact with his children.
Probably not. Yeah, no internet unless he bailed out with conditions. But his bond was $100,000 without conditions, which I'm glad Mower County did that too. That way I'm sure he didn't pay the $10,000 to get out, and he'll be monitored at least. It will take if he violates, and especially in Mower County, that for sure.
I don't know. Did he actually bond out? Have you heard?
Yeah, I checked the Mower County jail roster, and he's not on there.
Yeah, I tried to get a mugshot from him, but I couldn't get anybody to answer the phone.
It's on Post Bulletin, subscribers only, on the last article they posted about him.
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Thanks. I don't have a subscription to any of the newspapers.
Face tells it all for sure.
Huh?
His face tells it all. A picture's worth 1,000 words on that one.
Yeah, yeah. If I could get that, that'd be great. Well, not great. I hate to say it that way. Well, so subsequent to all of this, you've continued to do some of your work, and the one video that's up on the Hard Road TV, that's your channel, is you confronting a individual who came to Rochester from Owatonna, Minnesota, to meet up with a 16-year-old boy after having a conversation with what they believed to be was a 16-year-old boy. You were very clear that in that conversation with him that you were 16. You didn't say you were 18. You didn't indicate that you were of age. You said, I'm 16. And he shows up to meet you in Rochester. I didn't recognize the lobby. Where were you at?
I was at my house, at my apartment.
At your apartment. Was that so this person shows up to the address that you gave to meet a 16-year-old boy for sex.
Yeah.
And you confront him, and he ends up calling the cops on you.
Correct. And that's, correct. He calls the police.
And you get arrested for that.
I get arrested.
I just want people to hear this. I'm going to lay this out in a way.
Never touched him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chase has this conversation, didn't break any laws. He didn't go out there saying, I don't know how to say this. You weren't out there, going, I don't care who you are, let's just have sex. This person approached you with this idea.
Yep.
Makes arrangements with you to meet you as a 16-year-old boy for sex.
A registered offender who just did 10 years in prison for raping a 10-year-old boy. Correct.
What's his name? Or are you not allowed to say? Say that again.
Richard Paquan.
A registered sex offender just did 10 years, shows up to meet an underage child, and I know in Minnesota, the age of consent is 16. However, that's devoid of the grooming that took place in the conversation on an anonymous app.
In a position of power or authority or a sex offender, the age of consent is not 16. It's 18.
Correct. Right. But I'm just trying to waylay people going, yeah, well, you know.
Right.
Immediately jumps on you're the problem. That's what he basically does in the video. And people have to understand this. I'd play it, but I think it's 15 minutes long.
It's like 21 minutes.
Yes, it's immediately jumps on you're the one causing the problem. And you flat out say you drove here. Hey everybody in the chat. Thanks for, I hope you guys are sharing this out because this is an important conversation. You drove here from Owatonna, and I think, what's that, a 45-minute drive?
About 35, 40 minutes at least, yeah.
To your location. So let's just say 40 minutes to your location. That's intent. Shows up at the address that's given. That's intent.
Sent photos, all that.
Say that again.
Sent nude photos.
Sent nude photos.
Offered marijuana with the minor. Yeah.
He calls the cops. And they show up.
Correct. Sergeant Schlag.
Sergeant Ben Schlag of RPD?
Sergeant Ben Schlag of RPD.
Shows up and arrests you.
Arrests me. Makes up charges on me.
What did he charge you with?
False imprisonment. And I sat in jail for 2 days on that. And I go to court the next day. They're not ready for me. I got to wait another day. Go to court.
Which, by the way, just so everybody's aware, is a standard tactic for RPD in Olmsted County. Oh, not ready. Make you wait.
Yeah.
It's even better if it happens on a weekend.
Yeah. I go to court and I get my paperwork. And I was charged with felony stalking.
Because what's their evidence that you were stalking this person?
That'll be interesting in trial to find out, I guess.
Okay. Now, in the newspaper article that I was able to read, it says that you did take a plea deal on another charge.
Correct.
To basically lessen the consequences of this. But this is all stemming from all of that.
No, that was a charge before from last around the same time I encountered Adamson, actually.
Okay, so you took a plea deal on that.
I took a plea deal. And that was the one where they charged me with a sex crime for allegedly punching him in the balls. So
wait a minute. They charged you with a sex crime for allegedly punching a predator in the testicular area.
Correct. And
that's a sex crime?
Well, it's a 5th-degree gross misdemeanor criminal sexual conduct. It would be like a guy, like if he groped a girl in public or something like that. But it's on my I pled guilty to assault, but it's still on my record. You can see it, like if it pops up, it says dismissed. But I mean, come on now, you know what I'm saying? What about my daughter's friends' parents when in the future, when they look me up or something like that, are going to see that? And it's like, how do you explain that? Because this, whoever it is in the attorney's office has it out for me, and I get it. Like I said, my tactics were a little bit are crazy at times, but I was
less than professional.
The guy, and I got charged for that. I got my probation for that. I paid my fines for that, and I never put my hands on another one again.
And so, Rochester Police Department, Sergeant Ben Schlag shows up, arrests you, takes you to jail.
Yes.
Takes you to the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office Adult Detention Center. You are incarcerated for 2 days while they dink around making up charges.
Yep.
One of them, false imprisonment, and another ultimately ends up being felony stalking.
Yeah, the false imprisonment wasn't on the list of charges when I went to court, so it's just stalking.
So he took the 2 days to figure out something else to charge you with that probably, if I remember correctly, I don't look at all this stuff all the time anymore. You get sick of it after a while. I'm sure you feel the same way. Comes up with something that's probably more serious. And was this sex predator who made arrangements to meet with a 16-year-old for sex? Did he ever get arrested?
Absolutely not. And then he attempted.
So, folks, what you're hearing here, and this is coming from me, simply my opinion. I can't speak for Chase. I don't know how Chase feels about it. This, to me, reeks of, 1, retaliatory actions. 2, Ben Schlag must, in some level, know who Chase is.
Yeah, he does.
3, instead of doing the right thing, which, to be honest with you, I have a phone call with Sergeant Ben Schlag where he heard me file a complaint on someone in the university president. I wanted to file a complaint against the university president in Rochester for the Rochester University Center, and he called me back. I have the initial phone call recorded of Sergeant Schlag calling me back, and I didn't get a chance to record this. Told me that if I tried to file charges on the university president, he was going to charge me with filing a false report. So this is not uncommon for Ben Schlag. Ben Schlag this is not uncommon for him to twist it around and turn it around on somebody else. My experience. Ben Schlag charges you and this guy who sent nude pictures that he thought was to a 16-year-old, offered to share weed, which at the time was illegal no matter what, because not only were you 16 in this guy's mind, weed was still illegal in Minnesota at the time.
Was because it was like July 28th, so it was still illegal for like 3 more days.
So crime.
Yep.
Crime all over the place. None of it was yours. Do you have an attorney?
I have a public defender at this point. It's, you know how that can be. It's been rough dealing with that, and I'm
public pretenders.
I'm hoping to find an attorney that can maybe help me out for a couple thousand or something like that. You know.
For those of you that are watching, if there's anything that you can do, not just to help him get that phone recovered, but folks, if there's anything that you can do to help Chase find an attorney, to be able to afford a paid attorney, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's about 2 public defenders in all of Southeast Minnesota that are actually worth a damn. The rest of them, I don't, whether they're overworked or overburdened or just don't care anymore. They just don't, their interest is not in getting their clients found not guilty. Their interest is getting their files cleared as fast as possible. Isn't that not fair, Chase?
Yeah, it's it definitely sucks. And they're definitely overworked for sure.
So I'm just going to ask hard questions. Did you tell the guy just so people are aware, since we're not watching the video right now. Did you ever tell the guy that you were going to hold him there?
I wanted to wait for the police to show up to report it. And he was on the phone with the police.
But what I'm saying is when he first made the call to law enforcement, you never said, you're not going anywhere, I'm taking you in, or anything like that. You were just going to confront him.
Pretty much, yeah. That's all I wanted to do was expose him and report it.
And he closed the distance on you. In the video, he got up in your face, basically, trying to get by you.
Exactly.
And
as a citizen, we do have a right to make a citizen's arrest of a felony.
Absolutely.
But I never touched it. So.
When do you go to trial on that?
It's around February. It's beginning of February sometime.
Let's Let's get you a give, send, go.
What's that?
It's like a crowdfunding.
Yeah,
Let's talk offline. Let's talk offline. Let's get you a give, send, go. Let's get that set up.
that'd be great. Appreciate that.
I got a lot of veterans who are justice minded. I got a lot of veterans who are actually auditors on some level or another, First Amendment auditors. And
shout out our veterans too today. It's Veterans Day. So
if you're a vet, the best way to celebrate Veterans Day is to become anti-war and anti-interventionist. That way we don't have to have any more veterans coming home wanting to kill themselves from seeing crap in other countries. Chase, what they're doing to you is dirty. You know that. But when I said that to you in the text the other day, I said, I really feel like this is retaliation. You asked me, you think they're doing this to me on purpose? You remember that conversation?
Yep.
Did it strike? Was it just shocking for you to have me say that because you already felt that way? Or are you just kind of to the point with the criminal justice system where you just feel like it's not necessarily intentional, but you're just not going to get a break because they know you?
It's a combination of all that. It's a lot of stress. If I lose at trial, most likely I'm going to be sent back to prison. So there's a lot of stuff that's on my mind right now when it comes to
How much time are you looking at if you do?
Realistically, probably be out in 3 years tops, but probably about 2 years, 2.5 years straight. Out of like 4.5, they'll probably give me 54 months or something like that.
All because you were confronting a predator.
Yeah, I have
who got no charges.
I have a pending DUI charge as well, but I was supposed to get drug court for that. And now with these new charges that Ben Schlag made up on me, that's out the window. So ultimately, trial comes if I lose, most likely I'll get some time. And either way, I'm going to make it work. I'll be all right. But I'm definitely...
You think if you could get your hands on probably the wrong choice of words there. If you could get a good attorney, do you think this is beatable?
Yeah, I do. I definitely think it's beatable. It only takes one jury member, see that I didn't commit a crime.
And you have the video evidence.
I have everything on video.
You have the chat log.
Apparently so. And I have the chat logs, all that. So
where do you see yourself going in the meantime? I know you're switching the focus of your channel to be more true crime and more stories of redemption and reformation and whatnot, but how's this hitting you on a personal and emotional level? Because you're newly married, correct?
I'm not married yet. No.
Oh, make her make you an honest man, sir. But you're in a pretty committed relationship. You guys have a kid.
Yeah.
You've been doing everything you can. I mean, you got a DUI charge out there. I mean, people make those mistakes. Lord knows it's happened at the sheriff's office and the police department. People have gotten DUIs. In the grand scheme of things, that kind of stuff that doesn't make you a hardened criminal. But you've been really working at not living the lifestyle you were living before.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sober, doing, trying to do the damn thing,
And here you sit, really, and I'm just going to say it, doing the job that law enforcement should be doing.
And that's the thing too, Todd. They told me several times, you got to stop doing this. We do this all the time. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, I watch the news very carefully. I see the jail roster every day. I know, who's in there for these types of charges. I'm not saying that they don't do some sort of work with it. And obviously they did a great job with whatever they did with Adamson, and I'm glad they finally did it. But yeah, I mean, the fact is, the 13 or 14 people that I exposed was way more than RPD has done in the last few years, at least. You know,
it 13 to 14 exposures like that, which is a really great word to describe these people exposed. The idea that RPD is doing something to stop this, that BCA is doing something to stop this, is like, I have this view. I'm a small government. Law enforcement needs to stay out of people's lives. I think cops need to go back to being community oriented and like actually going out there and stopping property crimes, like crimes against people.
I agree.
Like you're infringing on my ability to live and pursue life, liberty, and happiness when you take my property from me, when you physically aggress me on my property or physically aggress me somewhere else. Those are the kind of things we should be worrying about. And now we've freed up a large chunk of law enforcement time that's normally spent in Southeast Minnesota going after drug, marijuana in particular.
Yeah.
We freed up a huge chunk of that. Now they don't have to go around enforcing that, but now Olmsted's found a way to give them something else to enforce there. And there are still clearly a large percentage of people out there preying on minor boys and girls.
Absolutely.
And it's so bad that the guy who you're being victimized by is getting away scot-free. There's no charges pending for him.
No charges. Sadly, he had just gotten off parole. I mean, literally a matter of months before this. At least if he was on parole, he could have possibly had some sort of
sanctions.
Exactly. And that was the first thing I did the next day, was try to look up his DOC number and all that. And like I said, he wasn't on the website anymore. And I did the math of what he was sentenced to. And yeah, I think it was like 2 months before that he had gotten off parole.
Is he on the registry?
Definitely. He's a level 3.
He's a level 3 in Owatonna.
Level 3 predator, yeah.
What they're doing to you is unfair. And what they're doing to you, labeling you a vigilante, labeling you a criminal in this situation, is you've embarrassed them. They're embarrassed. They're embarrassed. That's all this is. They're embarrassed. They were embarrassed when you brought Adamson to them the first time, and they went nowhere with it. And we know that there's no way they ever question him on this. No way. If he was questioned, he would have been, and I would have heard about it. Not necessarily that any other of the deputies would have known why he was being questioned, but he would have been put on administrative leave then,
right,
under those circumstances. No one ever once told me a freaking word about him ever being put out on administrative leave during that time.
Yeah.
And the reason why I not titled this, but the thumbnail of this video says is, what did he know and when did he know it, is because Sheriff Torgerson, as the chief law enforcement officer in Olmsted County, the highest law enforcement officer in Olmsted County, has a duty in these situations to, apparently he was aware. You had a sergeant say, hey, we're aware of your accusation and it's being looked at, which means the sheriff had to know, which means the chief deputy of detention services at the time had to have known.
100%, because how else?
Brian Howard had to know.
Yeah, how else would he have found out about it?
Yes, they had to know. And I just cannot see that there was actually any actual investigation or any work conducted in looking into Adamson, because you don't go through an investigation. I don't care how addicted you are to the behavior. I don't care how much it's ingrained in you to victimize people that way. You do not, as a member of the sheriff's office, as an employee, as a deputy of the sheriff's office, or as an officer with the Rochester Police Department, whatever, because they've got one of their own that's being investigated right now. There's no way you get investigated and like hard questioned on something like that and go back to that behavior in that short amount of time
In the same town, for sure.
in the same damn town.
Yeah.
I do not believe that this was handled properly at all by the police department, but the sheriff's office. And then for the county attorney to weigh in and say there was nothing there, so we decided not to charge.
Well, he had specifically told all law enforcement not to even bring anything across his desk related to me.
Wait a minute. Say that again?
So, yeah, in the Post-Bulletin article, it said that he had told the law enforcement not to even bring anything related to me to his desk when it comes to my stings because of my aggressive and problematic nature. But the fact is, there was several times where I had not been aggressive, gave them plenty of evidence, and was completely dismissed. Dodge County, when I did the sting on Joseph Carlson in Dodge County, he was investigated and eventually charged with not only the soliciting the decoy that I used, he had other messages between other minors and child porn on his phone. They arrested him. He sat in Olmsted County Jail for a year, and he just got a 60-month prison sentence. And I was credited with helping that.
By Dodge County.
By Dodge County, correct.
Folks, and this, folks, right here. You have to hear. I want you to say that one more time. The sheriff of Dodge County took your investigation as credible evidence of a crime committed by a sex offender, charged that sex offender, who then went and sat in Olmsted County's adult detention center, because Dodge doesn't have their own, sat in Olmsted County and was for a year and was charged and got a 60-month sentence for what he did.
Because he's a repeat offender.
You have the county attorney of Olmsted County, Tom Ostrom, the chief prosecutor in Olmsted County for Rochester and Olmsted County, saying we won't touch any of his stuff because he's aggressive and he's got a record.
And not only that, they're not doing it themselves. I mean, I could go get somebody right now. In a matter of a few hours, I could be making a video. I promise you that. Especially on the app grinder.
That has to be heartbreaking for you.
It is.
To know that sitting here tonight, you can't do this. I would imagine there's probably some sort of sanction against you. You're probably not allowed to do something like that right now while you're pending.
Oh, that's my I believe it's my First Amendment right to free speech is freedom of the press. So I actually could do it, but you
could do an investigation, but they won't do anything with it.
They made it clear that they will not only not do anything with it, they will make up charges on me. They made that very clear. Sergeant Ben Schlag did. So
he said, if I catch you doing this again, it'll be the same thing.
Basically, exactly. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to make up charges on you," but he definitely implied it. He definitely said that in other words. Yeah, 100%.
Auditors of the United States, we need you to show up in Rochester, Minnesota.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, we need the auditing community in the upper Midwest, and and if you've got the time and you want to travel, we need you guys to show up in Rochester and Olmsted County. If I started auditing in this area, I would probably, and I'm not suicidal, folks. Please, want everybody to understand that. If I start auditing in Rochester and Olmsted County, they will find a reason to arrest me. They will find a reason to kill me. They will. I get along well with a lot of my former coworkers, but there are some people in the Rochester Police Department and the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office that would want me dead. And this video is not going to help for me. But people have to hear this.
Yeah.
The Rochester Police Department, Ben Schlag, made it clear, without using those exact words, if you keep this up, we're going to keep it up.
Exactly.
The Olmsted County prosecuting attorney said nothing he touches is ever going to come across my desk, even though we've got Dakota County Sheriff doing the right freaking thing.
Dodge County.
Dodge County. Go ahead.
States, Colorado Pet Patrol. Shout out to him. He has hundreds of arrests, hundreds of convictions. There's another guy that travels all over the country, and he deals with really sick individuals and goes real deep into it. He has plenty. One person got life in the feds for he basically he's so slick with how he does it. He gets them to admit that they have child porn on their phone, and it's just incredible how he does it. But
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He just got dragged out of a Hillary Clinton event because he asked
Gordon
a question.
His nickname is on there, Gordon Flowers. But all over the country, people are being arrested for it. And even, like I said, one county over in Dodge. But for some reason, they are just going crazy on me.
I'm not even gonna make it a conspiracy theory like somehow Mayo Clinic is encouraging this. I would never imply that Mayo Clinic would ever do anything nefarious ever. They would never ever do anything dirty like fire 7,000 of their own employees for not getting the jab. But I would never imply. I might state, but I will just flat out say, from my perspective, you're just being treated like garbage because they think you're a garbage human because you have a criminal record and they're cops and they can treat you however they want because they're better than you. And go ahead.
They say I'm not a credible witness, even sober, right? But they will use strung out heroin addicts and meth addicts high on get caught to go do controlled buys on people and get evidence. But their word
is their favorite tactic.
And they're using these individuals.
Their favorite tactic is confidential, reliable informants. That's their favorite tactic.
And now they have that Matthews law saying that if you've overdosed, you can't do controlled buys. But I actually know Matthew very well. I was in the same outpatient treatment group as him. He showed up on a Wednesday. The next Monday for group, the instructors at the Olmsted County Government Center said he had passed away. And then that's
just so people know who you're talking about. You can say his name, Matthew.
I can't think of his last name off the top of my head, but the Matthews law that, I actually think that's a good thing too. But yeah, they still use their people that are strung out on drugs to do controlled buys, and that's credible. But me, a sober, caring citizen, they're just throwing me under the bus.
Like I said, I think, Chase, I think a lot of it comes down to they're embarrassed because you're doing something that they're not able to do or don't want to do. And they just see you like, and this is me kind of reading into their behavior. They just see you like like you're a garbage human. And I don't, and I've never looked at people that way.
Yeah. You were really super encouraging for sure. And a lot of the jailers are in Olmsted County. Definitely, that's another thing that's sad about this is most of the jailers in Olmsted County are such good people, and treat you with respect. So shout out to them as well, because the majority of them are really good people.
I've seen it over and over and over again, and sometimes I miss what I did, and other times I'm really glad I'm not there anymore. You deserve better, bro. You deserve better. And we'll talk offline about getting a Give, Send, Go started. And I'm going to stay on top of your story.
I appreciate that.
It's not fair to you that you're going through this and excuse the language. God damn you, bench leg. You piece of shit. You piece of shit. I'm going to release his phone call with me. I might have to put it behind my paywall on Subscribestar, but I'm just gonna release that phone call because he bent over backwards to protect someone that tried to steal my equipment and assaulted me, while his officers also infringed on my First Amendment rights as I recorded an event. And then calls me back and tells me, I'm going to charge you with the crime if you file a criminal report against this guy.
What a coincidence, too, that it's the same cop that arrested me, huh? Incredible.
Do you have an email that people can get a hold of you at if they want to help?
Yeah, I do. It's johnstonchase94@gmail.com.
And I will try and remember once this video processes to put your YouTube link and your email in. And you're not above taking help trying to find an attorney, I would assume.
I'm not. If people feel inclined to do so, I'd be very grateful for that.
We have H. Fred 65. I believe he said he's from the Rochester area. He says, I will be there when you need me. I'm 65, but I will stand up for you.
Awesome.
And once again, guys, if you're watching this, please share this out. I don't care if you clip this. I don't care if you make shorts out of it. I don't care what you do with this. Please take this video and get it out there. Get this into the hands of the law enforcement auditing community. Get this into the hands of the guys like Brian at High Impact Flicks. And here's the deal. Get this into the hands of the folks at Lackluster. Get this into the hands of people like James Madison Audits. Get this into James Freeman's hands. Get this into Detective Matt Thornton's hands. Let's get this story out there because there's more going on here than just Chase doing predator hunting. There is active. We heard it. It's in the newspaper article that came out on Friday. And folks, I'm trying to get that article. It's behind a paywall. But I'm trying to get that article. In that article, it says that the Olmsted County attorney said that we're not going to take any of his evidence because his tactics are dirty and he's aggressive. Like, have you ever watched an arrest?
Well,
ever?
It's
like Tom Ostrom, have you ever watched cops arrest anybody? They're aggressive.
I know several people that have had their ass beat by police officers unjustly, and some of them deserved it too. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, absolutely.
Fighting crime, actual crime, and that's what Chase, people let this sink in. That's what Chase is doing. He's actually going out there preventing crime. That's the libertarian. People want to know what actual libertarianism is. It's not, just go do whatever the hell you want to do. Actual libertarianism is, I'm going to stop you from preying on people. I'm going to stop you from preying on people. That's what real libertarianism is. When libertarians say they're for disbanding state-sanctioned law enforcement, they're not saying there shouldn't be laws. They're saying people who victimize other people should be dealt with. That's what Chase is doing. He's trying to help. He's doing a job that a lot of people wouldn't want to do. Honestly, it's disgusting. It's
a roller coaster of emotions every single time. Never once have I been scared, but that thought is there. Somebody got shot doing this in Michigan, I believe it was. Dads Against Predators. Yeah.
When's your first? I'll close my rant. Cops do a hard job. The ones that actually give a damn about the work that they do. Guys like Ben Schlegg apparently don't care about child predators. They apparently don't care. I'm just going to flat out say, Ben Schlegg doesn't seem to really give a damn about child predators. He's more interested in crapping on a person that he looks down on. That's what he did. Ben Schlegg looked down on you. Doesn't shock me, honestly.
Yeah. He definitely had a lot of shit to talk about me too to my girlfriend. After I was gone, he was talking to her, and he wasn't too nice either. Then just a real situation.
But let's get together. Let's get the community together and see if we can get the accountability community, the libertarian community, and whatnot. Let's see if we can get the community together and see if $500 would help. But let's see what we can do for Chase here, and let's wake up the Rochester Police Department, folks. Let's wake them up. Let's reach out to the Rochester Police Department. I'll put their contact phone number in the description of this video. Let's wake them up. Let's melt down their switchboard.
Yeah,
let's see what we can do.
More needs to be done, and laws need to be changed. This little slap on the wrist for sex crimes, especially on kids, is just ridiculous. There's a guy, Kevin Hamill, in Olmsted County Jail right now for child pornography, pictures of kids under the age of 6 or 5 or something like that. All kinds of just disturbing things. And he has to do 60 days out of 90 in work release. 60 days? Are you serious? Like, this has got to change. Laws need to be changed. The federal government's cracking down. If you get charged federally, you're going to get some big time. Somebody in Albert Lee got life plus 10 years for CP. And it's nothing nice in there either for those types of guys, especially in the federal penitentiaries. It's nothing.
Yeah, there's a hierarchy in prison, and they are nowhere near the top of the hierarchy.
Absolutely.
Chase, I have a lot of respect for you. I have a lot of respect for the fact that you're working to turn your life around, contrary to how the local law enforcement are trying to paint you. I knew from the very first time you messaged me that you were putting effort into living a different life. Dude, we're going to make mistakes. DUIs are overcomable.
Right.
But what they're doing to you is not fair. And I understand, because the same system was used against me, and I didn't break any laws.
Right.
And I'm still treated by some of them like I'm a criminal. And I had to go through an awakening. And it started early in my career, but by the time I left, I was like, wow, this system is so damn corrupt. It's not just kind of broken. It's so damn corrupt. And Olmsted County and Rochester, not every one of them. There are some good ones. But guys like Tom Ostrom as a chief prosecutor for the county, guys like Ben Schlegg, the crap that they're pulling, the fact that they would do that, and they would ignore actual crimes being committed, people conspiring to sexually molest children, and they cannot. They fabricate charges, and flat out state that they will not pursue anything that you bring them, because they just don't like you. Yep. Because obviously you're a crap human, and that's all that matters to them. Then I would hope that would make every single drug case that Olmsted County and Rochester PD prosecute go away, because they use nothing but people that they would consider crap humans to get evidence.
Exactly.
And drug crimes are victimless. You're not hurting anybody but yourself when you do drugs. But yet, plot to hurt a child, that's okay. We're not going to charge you, even though you drove 45 miles over here to have anal sex with a little boy. Right. That's okay. That's fine. That's perfectly okay. Don't worry about it. You go right on back to Owatonna. Sorry, sir. Would you like an escort out of town so you feel safe? Let's help you. You know what? Need a hotel room? You want us to find a 16-year-old for you? Would that help? Would that be better? I don't. That's how it makes me feel. It's just like, why are they protecting that?
It blows my mind.
Give us your email address one more time.
Yeah, it's Johnston Chase. That's JOHNSTON. Johnston Chase 94 at gmail.com.
And you're pretty sure your trial date is set for February?
Yeah, I know for sure it's February. It's like around February 10th, give or take a few days. One of them days.
Well, let's see if we can make that change. Not speed it up. Let's see if we could get them to say, no, this isn't worth pursuing.
That's what I mean, that's what should happen. Yep. Completely ridiculous. They could have had all 3 of my cases settled, and I'm eligible for probation without this stalking charge on there. I not only do I deserve probation, I have some jail time coming, and at least, and I owe that. But not years in prison away from my family. You know what I'm saying? I don't deserve that.
Absolutely.
I didn't break any laws to deserve that. So,
well, you have a family to get to, and a life to live, and you have my number. So we are going to stay in touch. And like I said, we're going to work. Let's see if we can work on getting a give, send, go together for you. and see if we can get you some sort of help with, finding an attorney. And if you sit down and talk to a paid attorney, your story won't change from me to them. Nothing about your story is going to change. You're not going to go, oh, well, here's what actually happened, right?
No, I'm standing up. I'm not taking no plea deals. I'm taking it to trial unless they want to drop it. That would be great, but I'm not.
The only way that this does not go to trial is if they drop the charges. Totally.
They offered me to basically plead guilty to felony fifth degree assault instead of stalking, which is basically the same thing, and I'd get 46 months around for that. So that's not happening, and I'm trusting in God through this one for sure.
And here's something else I'll say, folks. If you send a super chat on this video, if you watch this on playback and you send me a super thank you on this video, and you put Chase's name in it, or if you head over to my Subscribe Star and you subscribe on Subscribe Star and identify that you found me through Chase's conversation with me, I will donate 100% of my super chats, super thank yous, and I will donate whatever comes in from Subscribe Star or even merchandise sales. Well, I have to cover my merchandise, so 50% of my merchandise sales. If somebody wants to buy something from me or they want to find me on Subscribe Star, 50% of that will go to Chase between now and trying to find him an attorney. And then we will also work on getting a Give, Send, Go set up for you. Chase, go see your family. I'm gonna do a close, and then I'm gonna hit the treadmill, and then I'm gonna make dinner. I'm trying to get my figure back, Chase.
Yeah, now to get quite a bit. So, but I appreciate you getting me on here and helping me get my story out. And yeah, shout out to veterans out there. And thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you for doing this, and stay strong, and we will stay in touch. All right, bro?
All right. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Tell your other half, I'm sorry that she has to put up with you.
Sounds good.
Take care, man.
Yep. See ya.
Folks, I wanted to say this while Chase was off cam. You hear him owning the things that he's done wrong. He's owning what he's done wrong. And here's something else I'm going to tell you. Somebody who's going to stand up and say, I'm going to take the risk of going to trial on this because I did nothing wrong is huge. Sergeant Ben Schlegg of the Rochester Police Department is a sleazeball who, instead of doing the right thing when he had the opportunity to slap the cuffs on a child predator with a record, who's on the sex offender registry, is a third degree or a level 3 here in Minnesota, instead of looking at what Chase was doing, fabricated a story to justify arresting Chase and let the predator go. And I'm supposed to sit here and back the blue at all costs? Are you kidding me? Schlegg should have been busted down in rank at best for that. And Tom Ostrom, you're not going to press charges on people because Chase has a criminal record? Because you don't like his tactics? That's actually sleazier than Ben Schlegg. At least Schlegg was like arrogant and cocky enough to say it. Tom Ostrom, Ben Schlegg, dirtballs in the criminal justice system. Supposed to be protecting the people, dirtballs. That's dirtball tactic. Folks, I need you to help me make this go out there. Get this out there for people to see. I don't care if it's for me. I don't care. It's not about me. This is about, let's do something for Chase and let's do something to get this system freaking fixed. or at least get the sleazeballs that make these kind of decisions gone. Ben Schleich should never work in law enforcement again. Tom Ostrom should be forced to resign and just be humiliated. I'm going to be putting the contact information for the Olmsted County prosecutor or county attorney's office in there, and I'm going to put the Rochester Police Department contact information in there. And you guys could start reaching out to the Rochester Police Department chief, and you could start reaching out to the Olmsted County county attorney's office, and let them know. Let them know that we are aware. Let them know that they would much rather prosecute a person who's hunting down predators. And yeah, I use that word because that's what we do. When somebody, when you have chickens and a fox or a cat or a stray dog goes after your chickens, you hunt down the predator and eliminate the threat to your chickens. Why are we not eliminating, and I don't mean physically doing harm or ending the life of, but why? Why, when you have somebody that's willing to do the hard work, and it's disgusting what they have to put up with, when you have somebody that's willing to do the hard work, why would you ignore it to instead of getting the predator off the street? This, folks, is why law enforcement credibility is dropping with the average American these days. This is why. It's crap like this. This has got to end. And I'll say again, there's no way that Sheriff Kevin Torgerson didn't know about this. What did he know, and when did he know it, and why didn't he do something about it? He could put me on paid administrative leave for the entire summer of 2021. He put me under investigation for 60 days starting in February of 2021. All of March and all of April. And on April 31st, put me out on paid administrative leave. And I broke no laws. Did nothing criminal. I just stood up for liberty in the state of Minnesota during the pandemic. But Matt Adamson is reported for his conduct directed at minor girls, and nothing happens to him until he gets caught trying to victimize somebody over a year later. How many other victims are there? How many? How many other victims out there? And if there are other victims, you want to know who's responsible for that? Chiefly Matt Adamson. Then Sheriff Kevin Torgerson. Then Chief Deputy Brian Howard. Then the Rochester Police Department. Then the Olmsted County Attorney's Office. Matt Adamson, Kevin Torgerson, Brian Howard, the entire Rochester Police Department under Chief Franklin, and the Olmsted County Attorney's Office. 5 levels of people, all failing to do their jobs. Unchecked authority, a sheriff's failure, and a deputy's downfall. Who is holding the criminal justice system accountable for where they're failing and abusing people? No one. No one. We the people should be doing it, but everybody's so scared to do it, or they're so in love with the taste of boot leather as they lick the boots of every cop they know that they can't do the right goddamn thing. I'll say it one more time. If Matt Adamson is guilty, he's responsible for what he's done. And if he's victimized other people, he's responsible. But then Kevin Torgerson is responsible, and Chief Deputy Brian Howard is responsible. Chief Franklin and the Rochester Police Department are responsible, and Ken Ostrom and the Olmsted County Attorney's Office are responsible. If there are other victims out there of Matt Adamson, if there are other victims out there because of the Chase exposing them and they chose not to do anything and they get victimized, that's on these people. Every single one of them. It's on those people I've listed. Chase is a hero. He's a hero, and he's changed from what he was. And they're treating him like he's a piece of dirt. And that should piss us all off. Check back. We are going to find a way to support Chase. My friends, a sign that my dear friend and watcher, Monica, made: fight for your liberty. It is yours. Chase, fight for your liberty. It is yours. Fight for your freedom. It belongs to you. And Sic Semper, Tyrannus.
We are go for liftoff in T-30. Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. Secondary guidance systems engaged. Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark. All systems are a go. All systems are a go. Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at